The following is a compilation of video and sound bites that begin to tell the story of bird strikes and bird-friendly building design. Transitions have not been made, and some of the imagery is low resolution or is simply a placeholder until original footage, animation, or graphics is created. So here we go. Take one.
There's actually an estimate of up to 1 billion birds killed in the U.S.
The number of birds killed by buildings has been studied for the last 30 years, with many cities sending out volunteers to collect and document the strikes. So you may ask, why don't we see dead birds everywhere? Well, building maintenance people pick them up early in the morning. The birds may fall on hard-to-reach places like canopies and balconies, and most are picked up by scavengers. Other than loss of habitat, windows are the greatest human cause of bird deaths.
Glass is something that birds are unable to see, and it doesn't matter if it's a small piece of glass or a 100-story building. It's dangerous.
Not all windowed buildings are created equal when it comes to bird deaths. Buildings that are next to natural areas and those that reflect trees and other vegetation tend to be the worst offenders. The first 40 to 60 feet of the building is the most dangerous. Lights from buildings can also attract migrating birds into the cities. Light beams into the sky and storms will also disorient and exhaust birds who find themselves in the maze of city buildings the next morning. The most at-risk birds are young fledglings and migrating songbirds who are not accustomed to the city. City-dwelling birds like crows and pigeons have become familiar with glass. Many species are dropping in numbers dramatically, such as the rufous hummingbird, who has lost 60% of its population.
We start with the most interesting part, and that's the birds themselves. Birds are the one form of wildlife that nearly everyone encounters every day, so we sometimes take them for granted. But birds have been a constant throughout human history because we know deep down, instinctively, that where we see and hear birds, people are likely to thrive as well. Because
of birds, since the dawn of time, humans have had a yearning to fly, to go to the stars.
50 million Americans call themselves birders, and birdwatching is the second most popular hobby in the United States behind only gardening.
Birds pollinate our flowers and disperse our seeds. They keep insect populations down, and some, like this kestrel, are at the top of the food chain.
What we're trying to do is find visual symbols that say to a bird, oh, I better not fly that way because I can't get through there. We have mounted 2 panes of glass down there. One is a completely transparent piece of glass which the birds are unable to see. The other is whatever we're testing. Birds in most dimensions have better vision than we do, but they have worse contrast sensitivity than people do, which means that a given pattern either has to be bigger or closer for birds to see it as well as we do.
Based on Christine's research, which correlates with the abilities of most birds like the barn swallow you see here, birds generally will not try to fly between spaces greater than 2 inches vertically or 4 inches horizontally. This allows us to start creating patterns to deter birds from running into our glass. We are trying to find that miracle glass that birds won't run into. We know that birds can see in the UV spectrum much better than we can. Arnold Glass out of Germany has come up with a UV glass that has a pattern based on the spider web that only birds can see.
This building's situated on Wildlife Corridor, and the glass is reflective, and it was very disturbing how many birds were dying as a result of hitting the glass. It has been very effective, yes. The bird strikes have stopped. In fact, when they saw it go up, some of the employees thought that we were trying to improve the aesthetics of the building.
At the Lewis and Clark Law School in Portland, environmental law students were noticing that birds were hitting their library windows and dying at an alarming rate. They decided to test a number of options for protecting the birds, and they came up with removable screens that they put up every migration period. The design for the new low-water Fulton pump station that needs to go in Willamette Park recently went through its planning review at the city. The planner suggested to the architect that he might want to think about the building's impact on birds. The architect then studied bird-friendly design and decided to use fritted glass to solve the potential bird strike problem. We'll be interviewing him this coming week. You might ask, how can we justify the costs associated with bird-friendly design? Other than the environmental costs we've already described, we can also make designing for birds synergistic with other needs. This might include saving energy by only lighting what is necessary at night, or by reducing solar heat gain and glare.